Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. Today I am going to attempt making a no-sew fleece robe for you. I have never done this. I have watched a video that I will link down below that kind of sort of lets me know what I'm supposed to do, but they're pretty vague. They're vague about the width of the fabric. They just say use the width of the fabric and they don't tell you how wide their fabric is. I will be using fleece throws for this project, so it would have been nice to know how wide my fabric should be. But what I'm going to do is try to figure out a way to measure so that you can measure and make the robe whatever size you want, even child size if you'd like. And since this is a no-sew project, you can only imagine that it involves tying knots. I will be using 2 fleece throws that I got at Walmart. I'm assuming I need 2, and I picked these up for only $2.50 a piece. I had taken a poll, and it was between geometric or zebra and geometric 1, so that's what I'm going to be using for the print. I loved letting you guys pick. It was very neck and neck between those two, and geometric 1 with 52% of the votes. I hope I can make this as least complicated as possible. It really is complicated to me the way they did it, and their written instructions are too. But I do suggest that you watch my video in its entirety before you decide to make this, and go watch theirs too. It's from Joann's Fabric, and it's good to watch both because they may explain something better than I do, and I might explain something better than they do. I think between the 2 videos, skip the written instructions. I'll link to them down below, but I thought those were very confusing. Between the 2 of us, I think you'll be able to make this robe if you want to. If this robe turns out good, I plan on putting it on eBay after. I don't know if I'll be modeling the robe or if it will be my mannequin modeling it. It depends on what I come out with for size and all that. Let's just get the robe made and worry about who's going to model it after. All right, let's get started. I can see you. This robe is made in 2 pieces, the body and the yoke. And the yoke is the upper part that goes just about like below your bust and includes the sleeves. And then the body will start from here down. So here's what I'm going to suggest. I just did an entire important step for you, and the camera was not on, but I am going to show you what I just did. We are making the yoke first. You need to measure 2 different things for the yoke. You're going to start by putting a measuring tape in the center-ish of your chest, or whoever you are making the robe for, and go down to your wrist. I see I'm about at 25 around the wrist. You take that number and you double it. So 50. 50 is my first number. I want my fabric to be 50 wide. Then you're going to put the measuring tape at the top of the shoulder and go down so you know that you're like a couple of inches below the armpit. This is going to create the sleeve. You don't want the sleeves to be tight. So I'm at like 14, and you're going to double the number you get. And then no matter what number you get, you're going to add 8 to that. The 8 allows for the 4-inch fringe on both sides. So you would add 8 to any size. But for me, it's 14 times 2 is 28, plus 8 is 36. So I need my fabric piece to be 36 inches long. So I have it right there, 50 wide by 36 long. If you are measuring for a child and the measurement here is 10, well, you would say 10 times 2 is 20, plus 8 is 28. But then as for this, you just, whatever it is, from middle of chest to the arm, you double that. So now I will cut my yoke, and I will show you what we have to do with that piece. So I need a piece 50 inches wide by 36 inches long. That is what we determined. I'm going to turn this because I know it's at least 60 in this direction. So I'll be able to get my full 50 inches wide. I don't think it matters at all which way the stretch is going, so you just cut yourself a piece to whatever measurements you came up with. You do that whatever way works best for you. Okay, I have a piece of fabric that is approximately 50 inches wide by 36 inches long, give or take. I wasn't fussy. This is not for me, so whatever size it works out to be will be for somebody. I am laying this down. My 50 inches wide is going this way. I'm going to fold it in half lengthwise. I'm going to put the cut edge down, make it as neat as possible. Now I'm going to fold in half the other direction, like this. Now we're going to go for this corner here that's got folds. This is where our neck is going to be, on the folded corner. I can just eye that, but if you want to measure, let me get you closer. If you want to measure, they suggest about 4 inches each way. So for the heck of it, you can measure like this, say about 4 inches down, and put a pin. I kind of think that's a little bit big. And then 4 inches this way, and put a pin at the end of the 4 inches. And then you just cut like from pin to pin in a little kind of circle. So I'm just going to cut an oval out of there. So you get a piece that looks like that. You save this for another project. Now we're going to open up again. What we're going to do now, you can see we have a neck. These are going to be the sleeves. These are going to be cut into fringe. But what we're going to do first is we're going to cut in the middle on just one side up to the neck, because that's where it's going to open in the front of the robe. So make sure you're only on one layer and just eye it. Just cut straight up. One thing we want to do to make future steps easier is we want to just open and put a pin in the center back about 5 inches up, because we're going to be cutting some fringe. You just want to know where the center of your back is, so you mark it with a safety pin. See, you can see I have a safety pin right there, just in the center on the back, about 5 inches up. Now I'm going to sit my body down, and we're going to start on the bottom of this, cutting fringe all the way across, about a 1/2 inch wide and about 4 inches long. Now I can see my sleeve is a little bit crooked here, so I'm going to go ahead and even that out a little bit. You can do this with a rotary cutter and a ruler guide if you want. I'm just doing scissors, and I'm just eyeing it. If you want, you can always put a guide down, like even your measuring tape, and just cut up to it. But we don't cut into it, Sandy. Sandy, did you hear me? All right, I'm going to do this all across, and then I'll be back. Why do they have to fall and go to the other end of the world? Get over here, glasses. I am taking a mini break to sharpen my scissors, and I thought I would show you my scissor sharpener. I just looked up and they still have it on Walmart. I'm pretty sure that this is like exactly the one I have. Coloring might be a little different. Very inexpensive. This one is only $7.96, and it has free store pickup. So if you want to order it, you can just go pick it up at customer service or your pickup counter when it's ready. See, there's some slots there, right here. You just put your scissors inside the slots and then act like you're cutting. You do that a few times. It says several passes. Should be good as new. I will link down below to this sharpener if you're interested. There. I sharpened my scissors about halfway through, and that worked out great for me. We are done with this piece for now. So what we're going to do is just fold it up, put it aside. Now we're going to work on the body of the robe. They're saying that the body of the robe should be as wide as the yoke that we just cut. So for me that was 50 wide. So my body of the robe should be 50 wide. They're suggesting 50 long. But again, we know not everyone is the same height. That does allow for 4 inches of fringe. So here's what I'm going to do. For measuring, I'm going to just try to figure out like about where I considered a couple inches under my arm. You know, when we did the other measurement that we went from shoulder to here, I'm going to just try to go like from here. And it's hard for me because I have to bend over to look, but you could have somebody just like go to your ankle and tell you what the length is. And mine looks like it's about, I'm going to say 44. And at this point, you want to add 4. So I am going to do 44 plus 4 is 48. So my measurements for the body, since my yoke was 50 wide, I'm going with 50 wide. And then I'm going to do 48 long. If you're super tall and your length was 50, you're going to add 4. So you would cut 54 long. The measurements, if you're in doubt, always go a little bit bigger because bigger is always better. If the length is too long, you could always fringe the bottom and tie knots and that would shorten it. Or you just cut the bottom off. Better too long than too short because you can always shorten it. Just cut it, that's it. So I am going to cut my 50 by 48 inch piece and then I will be back. Okay, I have my piece approximately 50 by 48. I am folding it in half widthwise. I know that might sound confusing. This is my width of 50 across like this. So I have it folded in half. This top part is going to connect to the yoke that we just made. So we need to fringe this all the way across. But before we do that, we're going to take a safety pin and we're going to mark our center. This is the fold. So just somewhere in there, I'm going to put a safety pin so that I know that's the center of my body piece. We're going to match that up with the pin that we put in the yoke. So I'm just going to flip it so I can fringe. And here I go. Don't worry about having the same amount of fringe to match up to the yoke. That's never going to happen. So when we tie, I'll show you what we do. Now we are going to start putting this together. Here's the fun part. Take your yoke and I'm going to open this yoke up and we have our center pin there, if you can see. And now I am going to take the body part of the robe and open that up and find my pin. And I can see that this pin is here. So I'm just going to, let's flip some of this fringe back here. We're going to just kind of get the center, like pin to pin. Then we're going to take the body and fold in on each side to the pin. This is going to create the bottom of the robe. I wish I had a bigger table. At this point, we want to mark now each side of what we just folded. So I'm going to take a safety pin. I'm going to put it right here on that fold. And I'm going to do the same on this side. See if I can show you a little bit closer here. You can see that I matched up the pins so that I know my centers are matching up. Then I folded in the 2 sides and I marked each side with a pin. There and there. Now we're going to open up the body piece again. And now we are going to take the yoke and flip it on over to the body piece and try to match up the pins. Likey that. So my pins are pretty much lined up. I'm just going to take, I'm going to take the pins out at this point because they're in my way. I am going to take 2 of the fringes together. I'm not going to do a knot like a square knot. I'm going to take 2 fringes together. If you see you might not be clipped enough, you can always clip some more. And I'm going to do an overhand knot. I'm just going to wrap it around my finger and then pass the 2 edges through the hole. And it's knotted like that. And I'm just going to take the next 2 and do the same thing. And pull. Take the two, wrap around my finger, push through the hole. And I'm going to do that until I get to the pin that I put on the body part. If you don't like this overhand knot, feel free to go ahead and do just a regular square knot. You know, just tie the two fringes together like you would be tying a shoe. Okay, I am coming up to that pin that I have on the body piece. So I'm going to take that pin off and I'm going to tie just one more time. I'm leaving these two ends here open for now. Now I'm going back to the center where I started and I'm going to start making the knots in the other direction until I get to the pin that I used as a marker on the back piece. I am now up to my other pin. I'm going to just knot those two fringes together. And we're done that step. So you can see in the back that we've attached the top, the yoke to the bottom. I don't think this robe is going to fit me, but I've been requested to do the modeling, so I'll do the best I can. Now we're going to lay it back out again. Our sleeves to the side. It's not making much sense yet, but it will, we hope. Try to put it together again as best as you can, like with your yoke, like this. And I'm going to push this up. And now I'm going to fold the body part in again on both sides. So now what we're going to do is, I'm going to flip the fringe up a little bit. We're going to start from the center out. And the same here, the center out. We're going to just match up the fringes until we get to where they're already connected. Then the last step will be knotting up the sleeves. Just going to take these two fringes, one from the top, one from the bottom, on the outside edge. I'm going to knot those together. And then I'm going over to the next two. I started at the center of my robe, working my way to the armpit, and now I am up to where the back of the robe and the yoke are connecting, and then all that will be left is the sleeve. So now I'm going to get the fringe down here, and I'm just going to start at the edge of the sleeve and work my way to the armpit. These sleeves are quite wide. They're going to look like kimono style. Hi, kimono. That's a shout out to Running Kimono. I am coming up to the armpit, and let's see, on the top I have 1, 2, 3 loose fringes, and on the bottom I have 1, 2. I almost came out perfectly even. I'm just going to take these two and tie them to this one. So we're just going to tie 3 together. You just make it work. Ooh, I sounded like Tim Gunn. Make it work. And then these two. I'm not enjoying the knotting process. I'm really not. Okay, let me back up and we'll see what we have. So this half, you can see, is resembling a sleeve and a robe. So that's pretty cool. Now it does gather. You can certainly stretch it out a little bit. Now we are going to go on this side and do the exact same thing. I am going to tie the fringe starting from the center of the robe to the armpit, and then I will do the end of the sleeve to the armpit. And then we will be done. Did I mention I don't love the knotting process? I'll take a sewing machine any day over knotting. Okay, I just finished this sleeve. I'm just going to pull things out a little bit. I don't think I missed any fringes along the way. Let me see. I think you can see a little bit better this way. This is the top with the sleeves. Very kimono style. And the robe opens up this way. And I am going to attempt modeling this for you. Before I show you the robe, I want to explain a few things. First, the robe has no closure, so I don't really like that. You could always allow for that and make the, the front wider so that you could have a flap and then just sew some buttons, and then you just cut a slit in the fleece for the buttonhole. Or you could add some ties, ribbons, or even strips of fleece that you could tie together. The other thing is, I knew the robe wouldn't be big enough for me because just 50 around for the body is not big enough for me. But I didn't want to make it gigantic because somebody else might be able to use it at this size. Also, the sleeves are too short, and that's a little bit because I really didn't have the right size of fleece. So if you want to make this project, you certainly can go ahead and use the fleece throws if you want. Obviously, for an adult, you're going to need 2 throws, or you can just buy fleece. But to me, it comes like very, much like a 3/4 length sleeve, which would be fine for me if I actually wanted a robe, because I don't like things in my way of my hands. I'm just going to leave it as is for now because I'm pretty much over that whole project. It was not exciting to do all that knotting, but it does give it a cool look. So I do like it. What else did I want to say? It's way too long for me. I'm leaving it at that because, again, if this ends up going on eBay, and if it's too long for somebody, they can just cut it shorter to whatever length they want. But I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. I don't have any lingerie to put under it, so I'm just wearing a black shirt and my black leggings. And I will show you the robe. I do love the print. I think it was better in the way than zebra. It's just a very unique print, a very unique kind of robe. It would have been nice, though, if the sleeves would have been longer. But hey, it was a project that I tried for the very first time. And I do want to say to you, it was very confusing to me, even my own instructions. I have been editing as I go, and I'm like, oh my God, nobody's going to understand this. I wouldn't understand it. I didn't really understand the video that I watched, but I do hope if you watch my video and the other video, link is down below, please go watch it. Ooh, I could put it in my end screen. I will try to remember to do that. So you can watch it, and then between the 2 videos, you might figure it out. Their video, I think, is under 4 minutes. How they can show you a whole robe in under 4 minutes, I do not know. This is considered a beginner project. A beginner what? Like a child genius beginner project? Because I've been crafting for like 50 years, and it was confusing to me. So do enjoy the fashion show. Thank you so much for watching. I will let you know when this is on eBay. I don't know what else to say. I think that's it.